Juan, you're recording already? Okay. Hi, David. Just wait a second. I need to hit first this bloody piñata. Whoa! Yeah. Whoa! A copy of Blind Business. Fantastic. Okay, let us show you how to play this game, Blind Business. One of our pocket games designed by Andre Roy and with a cool retro cartoon art by Carlos Ureta. This is a game for 2 to 5 players that lasts between 20 and 30 minutes. Let's see what's inside the box and then we will show you how to play Blind Business. Blind Business takes us to the annual piñata celebration where everyone in Ricky Town, that's the name of the town, tries to take down the piñata, but the piñata is so big that nobody can take it down on their own. So they have to seek for teammates from the different regions of the city. So basically that's what you will do. You will do blind trades, okay, choosing the cards from your opponent's hands and giving unknown cards of yours in return. Everything to create the best team to take the piñata down and obtain that way the candies inside it and the eternal glory of winning the game. So inside the box you will find the rule books, as always, with different languages here, and a lot of cards. First of all, you will find player 8 cards, 2 per player, so a total of 10 for each language. So the ones that you won't use, you can get rid of them, or you can learn languages thanks to them. You can learn Catalan, Portuguese, Italian, anything. It's included in the game, obviously. Then you have an active player card to show who's the active player. In the other side, you have the trophy for the winner. Really important that. You have also 4 OK cards. When you achieve those cards, you can use them to force your opponents to accept a deal, a trade. And then you have the regular cards here, okay? Those cards come in 4 different colors representing the 4 regions of the city. And they have different values, starting from the number 1 to the number 11, each one with a different ability. And there are a couple of cards that has no number, ones in color, and there are some like the wild coach that are colorless. We will see the cards in detail when we talk about the game, okay? But first of all, you need to know how to do the setup, okay? First of all, take all the regular cards, shuffle all of them, and create a face-down deck. And depending on the number of players, you will remove more or less cards from the deck, okay? According to the table you have here in the rule book, okay? We are simulating a 4-player game, so you have to remove 2 cards from the deck, okay? 1 and 2 out. And also, depending on the number of players, you will play more or less rounds. In our case, we'll play a total of 4 rounds, okay? Everything is here indicated in the rule book. Leave the OK parts to one side, give the active player card to the first player, just choose who's going to be, and give to each player 2 player 8 cards. Maybe you will use them at the beginning in the first games that you make, but once you get used to the game and you remember the abilities of the different cards, you won't need those cards, okay? And finally, deal 4 cards to each player. Now players can take a look to their hands, okay? Now you know what's in your hand, but once you have checked your cards, you have to shuffle them and display them facing away from you. That way you will, if you have pretty much good memory, you will remember which cards do you start with, but you don't know where they are placed. So all players will play like this, showing the cards to their opponents without knowing where their cards are. And with that, everything is ready to start playing Blind Business. As we said before, Blind Business is played over a different number of rounds depending on the number of players. In our case, 4 rounds for 4 players, okay? So, during a round, players will alternate, well, we'll play 1 turn, okay, doing what we will explain now, and once all players has taken their turn, it's the end of the round and a new round will start. And you will continue that way until the end of the game. That will happen, or when a player scores a perfect shot, which means making a 5 in a row of the same color, we will see that, or when the rounds arrive to the end, that you will see that because usually the deck runs out of cards, okay? Whatever happens first, but usually you will check for the final score because the rounds are completed. So During your turn, okay, as an active player, what you will do is to take a look to your opponent's hands and choose one of the cards, okay, indicate that you want that card by tapping it, okay, you will tap that card, and that will turn the opponent that holds that card into the receiver. You are the asker, okay, and you ask for that card. Then two things can happen, sorry. The receiver can decide if that player declines the deal. If that happens, that player will take the card that you requested and play it in front of them in their scoring side. If that happens, then you must choose one of the remaining 3 cards of that opponent and take it for you and play it in your zone, okay? Or the other option is that the other player, the receiver, accepts the deal. If that player accepts the deal, that player will request a card from yours in return, doing the same by tapping the card, and then it's up to you to decide if you want to accept the deal, and you will exchange the cards and play them, or if you don't accept it, and each player takes their own card and accepts it. Maybe it's complicated, no? Like who's the taker, who's the receiver, who's the asker. Maybe it will be simpler if we make an example, okay? You will act as the active player and I will be the receiver, okay? So you will ask for one of my cards, like for example that one, okay? And you will tap it. Then it's my choice. I can accept the deal or I can reject it. If I reject the deal, I will take this card, my card, and place it in front of me, okay, in my scoring area. When you place a card in the scoring area, you must place it for creating rows of the same color, okay? So now I placed a yellow one, but if in future turns I place a new yellow card, it will be placed continuously to this one, okay? Creating different rows for the 4 different colors, okay? And with the numbers going consecutively. But that's just, well, yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing. If I refuse, then I take my card, I place it here, and then it's up to you to choose one of the other 3, the one that you prefer, and take it and place it in your scoring area. That's it. That was the first scenario, okay, that the receiver, me in this case, rejects. Second scenario, you choose this card, and then I accept the deal. Okay, that card is for you, but in return, I will ask for one of your cards, okay? By tapping it, okay? I want this card. And then it's your turn to decide if you want to accept the deal. If you accept it, you will give me this card, I will give you my card, and both will play the cards in our playing area, in the scoring area at the end of the game. But if you don't accept the deal, sorry, okay, I ask for this card and you say, okay, no, I want this card for me, then you will keep your card and play it in the scoring area, and I will keep mine and play it in the scoring area. And that's it. Once the deals are completed, players will draw cards until they have 4 on their hand again, okay? And the next player, following clockwise, will play their turn, asking for a card in any opponent's hand, and then starting with these scenarios, accepting or declining and everything. That's basically the game, but it's true that different cards have different abilities depending first of their color and then of their number, and that's what we will see right now, okay? First of all, talking about the color, okay? For example, the playground cards, the green ones, at the end of the game, in games of 2 or 3 players, the player with more green cards on their scoring area may look at their hand cards at the end of the game and choose one of their cards and place it in their scoring area, okay? And if by doing this, that player achieves a 5 in a row, the player will immediately win the game, okay? In games of 4 and 5 players, the player with more green cards will do the same, but the player who has the second most green cards will score 10 points at the end of the game. That player cannot choose a card, but will score 10 extra points. That's for the playground cards. The boardwalk ones, the yellow cards, okay? With those cards, basically at the end of the game, the player, in games of 2 or 3 players, the player with more yellow cards will score 10 extra points. And in games of 4 and 5 or 5 players, the player with more yellow cards will score 20 points, and the player with the second most number of yellow cards will score 10 points. And finally, for the downtown cards and the central station cards, the blue and the red ones, at the end of the game, each player will score 7 points for each couple of blue and red cards. So if you have, for example, let's see, you have 3 red cards and 1 blue, you will score 7 points because you have just one couple. If you had the second one, then it will be 14. So that's it about the colors, okay? And let's check now about the numbers, okay? There are, as we said before, there are 11 different numbers and also an extra card for each color and an extra card colorless, that is the wild coach, okay? The wild coach can act as a wild card, being a numberless card, of the color of your choice. But the thing is that when you gain the wild coach, you must place it in a row, in a color row that you already have, or let's imagine that you want to put it in another row. You have a row of red cards, but you wanted to put it in the yellows. I don't know why. Okay, you can save it, and once you have your first yellow card, you can add the coach to the yellow team. Okay, what you can do is to save it, and at the end of the game decide where you want to put it. Okay, so that's the wild coach. Then the number 1, that card will count as 2 cards when you're scoring at the end of the game instead of 1. Okay, we'll see that when we talk about the end of the game, but just give an idea. The icons here are really they explain what the card represents, but well, and you have also in the player 8 card, okay? But just to know, if you have a 2, once you gain a 2, you can obtain immediately an OK card, okay? Just take it, save it next to you, and from now on, every time that you, when you ask for a trade, you can use the OK to force your opponent to accept the deal, okay? Even if you lose the number 2 for any reason that may happen, you can keep the OK card, but once you use it, you have to get rid of the OK card, okay? That's with the number 2. Number 3, once both players have drawn after the deal and have 4 cards in their hands, you may exchange your hand by any opponent's hand, okay? Just give your hand, and that player will give their hand in return. Every time you have a new hand, because you know the cards that you will have now, you have to shuffle the cards before displaying it away from you, okay? With the number 4, once you have played the number 4, you may take a look to your card, okay? Once you have the 4 cards, you may take a look to your hand, and again, once you know the cards you have to shuffle them before displaying them. With the number 5 and the number 6, at the end of the game, if you have the number 5 and the number 6 of the same color, you will score 5 extra points. But 5 for the couple. It's not 5 because of the 5 and 5 of the 6, okay? Just 5, not 10 points. With the 7, 8, and 9, it happens the same. Okay? If you have the trio of the same color, you will score 10 extra points at the end of the game. With the number 10, you have to check, once you have played the number 10, you have to check if you are the player with more cards in your scoring area. If you are the player with more cards there, you have to discard one of those cards, totally up to you. In this case, the ties doesn't count, so if you're tied with another player, you don't have to do anything, okay? Also, if both players wins a 10, the active player will do that first and then the other one, okay? And also that that effect is executed before checking the 5 in a row. So if you're competing a 5 in a row thanks to the 10, but you have to get rid of a card and it's one of the that is part of the 5 in a row, you will lose that, so you won't win the game immediately in this case. And with the number 11, it's exactly the same, but ties count. So if you are the player with the most number of cards in your scoring area, even if you're tied with another player, you have to get rid of one of those cards, okay? And finally, you have the flex player. Flex player can be used as any number in order to complete a 5 in a row. So let's imagine we are in the blue, we have a 4, 5, 7 and 8, we can place that one as a 6 and then we will immediately win the game. If it's not used to complete a 5 in a row, it will count as a color, as a numberless card of that color, okay? And that's it. Those are all the abilities of the cards because of their color and because of their number. Okay, and that's the thing. The game will continue that way. During your turn, you will ask for one card, then the other may accept or not, and you make all those blind trades, and you will continue that way until a player scores a 5 in a row, as we said before, 5 in a row. It should be of the same color, okay? If at any point, 7, 8, if at any point a player makes a 5 in a row, that player will immediately win the game, okay? If that doesn't happen during the game, once you have completed the rounds that you must play, it's time to check who has the highest score, okay? That's the time where you will use the abilities of some cards, no? Of the colors, scoring those extra points that the different colors give you, and also about the numbers, and you will score in the following way, okay? You will score the number of cards you have. Let's imagine that we have those 3 here, multiplied by the higher number of the color you have here. For example, in our case, we have 3 blues, and the higher one is the 11. That will score 11 multiplied by 3 is 33 points. Also, we have 10 extra points. No, because we don't have the 7 and 8, so that's it. Here, you will score 11 multiplied by 2, 22, and in the yellow, we have just one yellow, so 3 points, 3 points. That's why, at the end of the game, some numberless cards will be important, like the wild coach, because if we have the wild coach and we use it here, then we will have 3 cards, or well, maybe in the blue will be smarter, okay? Or where the number 1 that counts as 2 cards becomes more important, okay? And by checking all that, at the end, the player who has more points in their scoring area will be the winner of the game. And that's it. That's blind business. Blind trades card where sometimes you will ask for a card wishing for a no, and you will give a card and you will regret it for sure. So we hope you enjoy the game, and remember, keep playing. Bye.